was you block the punt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself in field goal position right away. It's exactly what they did. They blocked the punt. They did the thing, and it was like, oh my God, the Cowboys did it. And then, I'm going to butcher his last name. I apologize to this man. Amani Oruware, Cowboys defensive back playing special teams. You know, when you block a punt, you get away from it.
Yeah.
You just clear out. You're going to get the ball.
Yep, it's your ball. If it goes past the line of scrimmage,
it is your ball.
Yes.
Go away from it. This Cowboys defensive back, fresh off the practice squad, by the way, for some inexplicable reason, as the ball is bouncing up to him, tries to grab it, horribly misses it. It just bounces off his arm.
Well, he's clearly a defensive back, not a wide receiver.
Right. And that ball is bouncing. It's weird. It's not like he fell on top of it. He's trying to catch a bouncing football in the middle of like 3 Bengals.
Oh, no, it was a bad idea.
It wasn't like he was going to grab it and he was going to try and score. It was just grabbing it to grab. Bengals recover. They score a 40-yard touchdown 3 plays later, and the Bengals go on to beat the Cowboys 27-20 in an all-time funny ending if you were rooting against the Cowboys. They blocked the punt and didn't get the ball back.
They are known for their poor finishes on bonehead moves. This is like Leon Lett all over again. You're like, what is happening?
Like, at least the Leon Lett thing, like that was. I mean,
yeah,
is what it was.
I mean, they were
dominant at that point. Yeah,
Kyle, I think it's really crazy. We were looking at the standings earlier. It's just how bad the NFL is this season, and I don't remember it ever being this bad. Where the teams like the 49ers and the Bengals and the Cowboys still have a shot, and they have a shot because there are so many teams that are just flat out horrific. I mean, how many teams do we have? 5. We got 6 teams with 3 wins.
Yeah.
2 with 2. I mean, this is just horrible football.
The AFC alone
Yeah.
has 6 teams that have 3 or fewer wins.
That's just mind-boggling.
Almost half the conference.
That's absolutely wild.
The NFC, by comparison, has 2 teams with 3 or fewer wins, which is a little more normal.
Yeah.
That feels a little more average. Yeah, man. I was... Mike McCarthy... I don't think Zach Taylor is a very good coach for the Bengals. I think he's fine. I don't think he's great. I think he benefits a lot from having Joe Burrow, who is elite. Mike McCarthy... I think so. There's the Fire Kyle Shanahan contingent out there. Salute to our guy TC. Speaking of which, if you want to join the program, call the Elk Grove Kia Talk line 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320. Would love to hear from you. We'll be talking Monday Night Football. We got some Kings coming up. Bill Belichick is gonna have a job.
No,
maybe.
We
got 49ers drama on the internet last night. We'll get into all that. But the Fire Kyle Shanahan contingent. I think Mike McCarthy is the coach that the Fire Kyle Shanahan contingent thinks Kyle Shanahan is.
Yeah, and he's not that.
He's not. And
no.
and that group will tell you, well, Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. No doubt. Salute. With prime Aaron Rodgers, yep, Mike McCarthy has that on his ledger for sure. But he's been a failure since then. Year in and year out. You see quarterback draws when you don't have a timeout to end a playoff game. And there's finishing with 12 wins every year, and you get blown out by Green Bay at home in the playoffs last year. You get routed. They've lost like 6 home games by 30+ points this year.
Oh yeah, they're
something
horrible
insane
at home.
like that.
They're 1-6 at home.
It's outrageous. Like they're just, and then you see things like last night where you go, man, that is just, and we've talked about this with the 49ers too, to be clear. It's just McCarthy has a much longer track record of being a bad coach, where that kind of mistake to me comes down to coaching. It's again, bringing this back to Kyle Shanahan. It's one of, to me, Kyle Shanahan's biggest flaws is the inability to make an adjustment to whatever they're doing special teams wise and putting a little more effort into that facet of the game. So you're not losing games because of special teams catastrophes every week for the first 6 weeks. But that is the exact type of mistake that you go, of course the Mike McCarthy team does that. Of course Mike McCarthy's team is the only team in the history of the NFL that when a punt gets blocked, they don't all scatter.
Yeah, get away.
You get away from the ball.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. Don't fumble it.
It's a grenade. And there's no reason to go jump on it.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just like, of course. And that's where it's like, of course that happens to Mike McCarthy. And for some reason, the Cowboys, after this offseason, I said, man, the Cowboys should probably part ways with Mike McCarthy. And for some reason, they didn't. And for some reason, Jerry Jones seems steadfast in Mike McCarthy's the dude. And I don't understand it.
Mm-mm.
And it feels like he's the only guy in the league that would have that happen to them.
I mean, look, the 49ers have made a ton of mistakes on special teams as well.
Many.
But I don't know. I mean, their mistakes on special teams are basically one guy holds every single time he's on special teams, and he keeps going out there and playing. And I'm not sure why they allow, maybe there's two of them, but it always feels like it's the same exact guy who's holding the whole way down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, hey, can you stop holding? Or hey, coach, can you not put that guy in the game right there? So, yeah, their special teams have been a mess, and they've certainly cost some games. But, this was a rudimentary one. This is not like somebody's got, 3 super fast guys running right at him, and he's trying to catch a ball way up in the air and is coming down, and, the muff punt thing. You're hoping that a guy catches the ball, but this is one of those, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Know the rules. Know the basics.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't let the ball roll all the way. I saw this.
Tough.
Was it last weekend? Guy let the ball roll all the way down to the 1 yard line, and then he goes to down it and has his heels on the end zone line. What are you thinking? And there's
really bad.
5 other guys standing there that could have just.
That happened against the Niners, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the Bills, right? No, maybe it wasn't the Bills because that was in the snow. No, I can't remember.
I remember the play. I don't remember who it was.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
There are bad plays that happen all the time, but touching a punt like that, inadvertently where it hit you in the leg or something, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Walked into it, that's not what happened.
No.
Dude just didn't know the rules.
That was special teams guy, practice squad call up, trying to be a hero.
Yep.
That's tough. That might be the last play of that guy's NFL career.
Oh.
He's the level of player where you're a practice squad call-up contributing on special teams, you're going to revert to the practice squad. And at least that was my understanding. He was elevated because you can be promoted to the 53-man roster, or you can be elevated for game day. My understanding was he was elevated for game day. He might get cut and never play again.
Yeah,
that kind of mistake.
You need to Ronnie Bell him.
That's tough. Mike McCarthy, by the way, has been the Dallas Cowboys head coach since 2020. In that 2020 season, they went 6-10.
Okay.
Then 12-5 the next 3 years. So they go 36-15 in the regular season. Do you know how many playoff wins he accumulated in those 3 years?
One.
Yeah,
because I know Dak only has 1 playoff win.
Yes.
Oh, no, he has 2 total, right?
He has a couple.
Yeah.
But he has 1 with Mike McCarthy. And it was when they beat the hell out of the Buccaneers that year, the Tom Brady's last year, where the Bucs were just finished.
Yeah.
They won that one. Salute. 31-14 in a game that was not that close. I was actually in Florida for that. And there was a dude, the Cowboys won 31-14, and the Bucs scored their 2 touchdowns late. They scored 1 in the third quarter, and then I think they got 1 late in the fourth quarter. But there was a guy in a Mike Evans jersey who sat there and watched every second of it. We're at a bar in Florida. Sat there the whole time.
That's how you
salute to that guy.
That's how you have to.
I'd have been out of there at halftime.
If you're gonna go watch a game or you're going to a game, you got to sit there the whole time.
I'd have been out of there after midway through the fourth quarter.
I don't.
All right, I've given them all the chances to get a turnover, get a defensive score, make their way back into this one.
Well, I told you last night I was sitting at home and just the wife says, "Hey, can you go grab a pizza from the sports line?"
Sure.
So me and the youngest, we drive over, and I'm sitting there waiting for the pizza to get done, and I'm like, okay. They go line up the punt, and I'm like, hey, let's go so I can get home and watch the last 2 minutes. I get home, and it's 27-20. I'm like, what in the world happened?
What the hell happened?
I live a quarter of a mile from the place where I got the pizza. I'm like, I have to go back. I'm like, what in the world happened?
Yeah.
And you have, like, they just keep panning to Micah Parsons on the sidelines, just freaking out, just having a complete meltdown. I'm like,
I get it.
and then he
I would
left.
too.
Like, the clock's still ticking. He's like, I'm out. Just like starts walking towards the end zone.
I get it.
Yeah.
Dude, I know that like the Hail Mary loss for the Bears will be the one everybody remembers, right? We'll remember the Packers blocking a Bears field goal to win it. We'll remember the Chiefs' various calamities that have led to their 11-1 record.
Yeah, the doink.
The doink off the goalpost. They've blocked a field goal for the win. They've had Isaiah Likely's toe half an inch onto the out of bounds.
Oh, yeah.
In week 1. We'll remember all those. I don't know that we'll remember this Cowboys one the same way because it is just kind of inconsequential game. Even the Bengals are 5-8. They are 3 games out of a playoff spot.
Oh.
Like they are way out of it.
Yeah.
So they're still in. They are. They need a miracle.
Yeah.
But inconsequential game for the most part. But that's the worst loss of the year for me. Because you were going to get the ball in near the 50.
Yeah.
You're going to have great field position.
It just doesn't make any sense.
You're going to need to run 3 plays and then burn the clock and kick a game-winning field goal.
Mm-hmm.
You were good. You did it. You blocked the punt. You got the miracle. And then it didn't work.
It's just horrible, Kyle.
Horrible. That's the worst loss of the year for me.
I think it is.
Oh, I'd be incensed.
Well,
if I was a Cowboys fan,
we were just reading a stat. And for the life of me, I don't remember who put the stat out there.
Yeah.
It was one of the big. I think it's Ian Rappaport.
Mm-hmm.
That the Chiefs are 0-7 against the spread over the last 7 games, and they're 6-1 over that stretch. But
That's crazy.
They don't cover. They haven't covered the spread in any game.
But they're still 6-1.
But they just keep winning. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
I can't decide if that means the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl or lose in the first round.
Well, the stat is that no one's ever won the Super Bowl when they've had a stretch of 7 straight games where they didn't cover the spread.
Huh.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But I just don't know. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo in that defense, frankly, are just impervious to all this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going to go win every playoff game 17-13 and go win the Super Bowl? Or are they going to face Baltimore in round 1? And because that's who, if everything goes chalk, they'd play Houston. Right now, as the playoff seeding sets, it's Baltimore at Houston.
Okay.
Well, let's assume Baltimore wins that one. Kansas City would be hosting Baltimore in the divisional round. Do you feel really good about Kansas City winning that one?
Absolutely not.
I don't either. But if you said, yeah, hey, Kansas City won that game 13-10, like, of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, 17-16.
But if you also said, yeah, the Ravens went in and kind of steamrolled them, they won 28-10. Like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. They've been lucky, the Chiefs have, for sure. But in the way, I mean, we can bring this to the 49ers. The 49ers have been a little unlucky, but also they've put themselves in positions to have a little bit of bad luck torpedo their season.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs do the opposite. They put themselves in position where, yeah, a little good luck, and they're winning, what'd you say? Their last 6-1, 6 out of their last 7. Despite not covering, they're going to be 12-1.
Yeah, they're 12-1.
I mean,
well, and also you
still have to. I don't want to get it twisted. You still have to be good. It's really hard to be a bad 12-1 team.
No, totally. But let's be honest here. They lost Rashee Rice for the season, and week 2, week 3?
Very early, yeah.
Okay. They also Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
He tears up his shoulder and misses most of the season up to this point. Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
Missed
dealt with some
8
injury
games?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, they have all kinds of injuries.
Travis Kelce has been a shell.
Yeah, and are they the team that their left tackle No.
They have offensive line issues, specifically at the tackle spots. Their interior offensive line is really good.
Yeah, it seems like They
but they've
just
been dealing with tackle
signed
issues.
another tackle that will start this weekend, and it'll be the third left tackle they have.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So look, I mean, they've figured out ways to deal with their issues, but barely. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I've never seen a team win so many close games where you're like, what in the world?
Yeah, not just winning like, oh yeah, all these one-score games, just winning in ridiculous fashion.
That was the 5th come from behind victory in the fourth quarter for Mahomes this season.
So
I mean,
annoying.
out of
They're
13
so
games,
annoying.
they are so annoying.
Like I should hate Kansas City, right? As somebody who wants the 49ers to win a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I should hate Kansas City. I just can't. I can't do it.
As someone who's had Patrick Mahomes on their fantasy team this season,
Sure.
I'm literally cheering for them to lose every single weekend because like it's just horrific having him as a fantasy quarterback.
Yikes.
He has not been good.
Is next season the season that you punt?
Yeah, I think so.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I every bone in my body says, yeah, hey, hate the Chiefs. There's something about it. It's like, damn, there's a begrudging respect.
Yeah.
I think when I watch their kicker pull the field goal left, and you're like, oh, he missed. Oh, it's off the upright. Oh, of course it went in.
Yep.
Why wouldn't it go in?
Of course it went in.
Naturally.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
I think it's funny. Like they could win the Super Bowl and be back to back Super Bowl winners, and I'm ready to punt their quarterback. Like, no, I don't want you on my team no more.
Well, that's right, but that's the thing is let's say they play Baltimore or Houston. I'll give respect to Houston. Let's say they play one of those two teams in the first round and lose. Like the conversation will be, oh man, they need to get Mahomes some weapons. Travis Kelce, maybe Wash. They dealt with some injury stuff. Like, yeah, okay, but I don't think nobody thinks the Chiefs are bad now. If the Steelers were doing exactly what the Chiefs did, I'd be like, smoke and mirrors. But because they've won the last two Super Bowls, they get the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I still think
I don't think anyone's going to call them frauds if they lose in the first round.
The Steelers are 10-3, and I think we all think it's smoke and mirrors.
That's a good point.
Still,
Russell Wilson's playing great. I'll say that.
Yeah, whatever. I still think it's smoke and mirrors. Like their schedule. You looked at their schedule and you're like, oh, they got a shot to keep winning. And when they beat Baltimore, though, it's like, okay, that's a big win.
Yeah.
But even the Commanders aren't great.
No.
You got the Browns, the Bengals, and the Browns. Like their last 5 games, and then go back before that, they had the Giants, the Jets, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Colts.
We're gonna learn a lot about the Steelers here. As you just mentioned what their schedule has been. Here's what their schedule is to finish the year. At Philadelphia, at Baltimore, home Chiefs, home Bengals. That's their last 4 games.
Yeah, it's wild.
So we're gonna learn a lot, whether the Steelers are for real or not. But hey, you don't get to 10-3 by being bad. Are they as 10-3 as the Bills? Yeah, maybe not.
No. Are they as 10-3 as the Ravens? No.
The Ravens aren't 10-3.
Yes.
Are they really?
Yeah.
The Ravens are 8-5, dog.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking. I was looking at Buffalo. Like they're not as 10-3 as Buffalo.
No, are they? Yeah, I don't know.
And the Ravens, I fear the Ravens way more than I fear the Steelers.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Way more.
That's interesting.
Come on now.
Ooh, do I? I'm trying to not let I have a preconceived notion about Baltimore.
Okay.
Where I think Baltimore's really good. But now they're 8-5. You see their defense struggling a little bit. They blew out the Broncos, which is pretty impressive. The Broncos have been playing well at that point, but they sneak past the Bengals. But again, division game, it's kind of weird. They lose to the Steelers. Division game, that's kind of weird. All right, Chargers win. That's a good quality win. 30-23, that's a good win. But then they lost to the Eagles.
Okay, so there was a moment this season,
and
maybe like 3 weeks ago, where it was a foregone conclusion that Lamar Jackson was winning the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterbacks on an 8-5 team do not win the MVP.
Not typically.
No, on a 12-5 team, when there's going to be teams that are like 1-2 win teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know who wins. He's probably
Josh
still going to win it.
I guess Josh Allen still.
Maybe.
He's just been ridiculous.
Well, 29 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions for Lamar Jackson. He only has 3 rushing touchdowns. That's where Josh Allen kills him. But yeah, I mean, he's been incredible. But I think we all thought that he was going to be the MVP, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this is a ball game. Like,
I think there's a desire to give Josh Allen an MVP.
okay.
The same way I feel like in the NBA, there's a desire to give Luka an MVP.
Oh no, there is.
Like
sure.
there's just the, oh hey, this guy's awesome. He's gonna win an MVP at some point, and we're just kind of waiting to give him one. That's how I felt Josh Allen's been for the last like 3 years.
Okay.
Second in MVP voting in 2020. Wasn't there in 2021. That was the year he threw 15 interceptions, 36 touchdowns, 4,400 yards. But then the next year, third, the next year, fifth. Just he's been right there in 3 out of the last 4 years.
Okay, what if I told you that the MVP was Jared Goff?
No.
You don't buy it?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't think so.
25 touchdowns thrown,
how many
picks?
How many?
10. 72.4% completion.
Yeah, maybe. It's such a narrative based thing.
It is.
And the perception of the Bills going into this year was, might be a down year. They had to cut a bunch of dudes because of contract stuff. Man, Josh Allen doesn't have any receivers. They had to trade Stephon Diggs. Oh man, watch out for the Bills. And Josh Allen goes out and has maybe the best season of his career. Meanwhile, the Lions, the story is Amon-Ra St. Brown is awesome. And look at how awesome the run game is. They can run it whenever they want. And their offensive line is amazing. And yeah, Jared Goff's really good. I'm not trying to say Jared Goff is bad or anything. I'm just trying to think about what MVP voters are looking at.
Yep.
And I think there is more of a desire to give one to Josh Allen. Jared Goff will get votes. Jared Goff will be in the mix. Same way Brock Purdy was last year.
I think Jalen Hurts will be in the running as well.
Yeah, any quarterback on a team that's going to win 12 plus games is going to be in the mix.
Well, and he's got 13 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The thing with the Brandon, did you follow that at all? Brandon Graham coming out and saying that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown had beef.
Oh yeah.
But then walked it back today.
Oh no.
Or yesterday. I don't know exactly.
I saw that somebody said that they had a beef.
Yeah. Then, he walked it back and was like, that wasn't my place to talk about their relationship and blah, blah, blah. Like, oh,
of course not.
Weird vibes with the Eagles, man.
They're always a weird vibe team.
They still might win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right. But they're such a weird vibe team.
I think they're the one team that if you told me that they beat the Lions in the playoffs, I would buy it.
Okay.
I think what they're doing, especially defensively, is really impressive.
I'm giving Saquon Barkley the MVP, and I'm done with it.
That's fine.
There it is.
You want to, but I would love to see a non-quarterback win it.
Yeah,
would love it. I want that so bad. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. I'll buy, like, if you want to make the Saquon argument, I'll sit here and listen all day, and I will agree with everything you say.
Okay. So right now he's got, he's going to go over 2,000 yards.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
He's been
barring
amazing.
Injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's on a better pace, just production-wise than Christian McCaffrey was last year. He's gone over 100 yards in all but 1, 2, 3, 4 games this year, and one of the games he didn't was 95 yards. The other one was the 34-6 win against Dallas, where he didn't play the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's been incredible.
Just like we have in the chat that I need to stick to Niners talk. The Steelers defense is the Steelers defense is really good. I didn't say their defense isn't really good, but playing the schedule that they have, which again, you don't decide your own schedule. I get that. But even like, let's just go through from week 4 until today. The Colts, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Jets, the Giants, the Commanders, the Ravens. That's a good one. The Browns. Like they played really one really good team in that.
Yeah, I think the Steelers aren't bad, and their defense is very, very good. And maybe it carries them, and maybe they're just awesome in January. I've just got to see that first.
Well, yeah, but their defense is really good against. Just start going.
No, their defense is. I think their defense is good.
No, I think
I don't think it's crazy.
No, I think it's good too. But the fact is that, like, when you're facing whoever is playing quarterback for the Raiders, Aaron Rodgers, you're playing Daniel Jones in week 8. You got a good young quarterback with the Commanders. and the Ravens, but the Browns, whatever's happening there, like they haven't really even played against that many NFL level quarterbacks throughout. They get Drew, what's his name?
Drew Lock?
No, not Drew Lock.
Tommy DeVito.
Who's a Broncos quarterback?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix
has been good.
But Bo Nix in week 2, not Bo Nix today.
Sure.
So two totally different players. So
I'm buying the Steelers.
Okay.
I don't put them in the same tier as Buffalo. And you can say what you want about Kansas City this year. I'm giving Kansas City all the benefit of the doubt.
Of course.
If this was year 1 of them being 12-1 and successful, then maybe it'd be different. But they get the benefit of the doubt for me. I think Buffalo's there. And if Pittsburgh goes out and Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, continue this bond they appear to have, where they're firing on all cylinders really offensively.
Yeah.
Or at least Russ is. Let me back that up. Russell Wilson is playing better than I thought he would. And if George Pickens gets healthy, maybe they can be dangerous enough offensively. I just got to see that. I got to see that in the playoffs.
No, I'm with you.
But anyways, they're in the same tier as Baltimore for me, where it's like, yeah, I see it, but I gotta see you have that success in January.
But they're in the same tier as an 8-5 team in Baltimore. Yeah. No, I think so.
Anyways, all right. Bill Belichick has a new job. Deebo Samuel, just what the Niners needed after a 4-touchdown win. Some drama with one of their star wide receivers. We'll talk about all that. Plus, Kings are in the trade rumor mill, maybe? Question mark.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders. We are hanging out with you until noon, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. Clear.
Yeah. Tyler, I haven't been I've been saying the same thing about the Steelers all season. Their schedule lends itself to a great record, and they went out and won the game. So I don't want to take any of that away from them. They did win the games, where the 49ers just flat out lost games on their own in the fourth quarter, multiple times. But you're still looking at a team that who you beating? Even the Chargers, when they beat the Chargers in week 3, the Chargers weren't the Chargers that they are today. They weren't very good. So, yeah, Herbert threw 12 of 18 for 125 yards, and Taylor Heineke came in and played in that game. Where has Drew Down been? Where you been?
Yeah, Drew, where the hell you been, bro? The fact the 49ers they don't need to win out, but they have to beat the Rams on Thursday. They have to win in Arizona in week 18 in a game that'll probably matter for Arizona. And then they have to beat one of Detroit or Miami, and they got to go to Miami to do that. Call me in week 18. If they're a winning in week 18, great. But
yeah,
I'll
with you
when I see it. Damn, John Poles, that's cold, bro.
And Drew Down. We're gonna save that one.
Yeah, the Tomlin thing's so interesting because the Tomlin thing's interesting because he's obviously a good coach. He's awesome. He's if he's not top 5, he's probably top 5. I'll put him top 5. But if he's not in someone's top 5, he's 6. The problem for me, and I get the counter argument to this is, well, look at what they've been doing at quarterback, but they haven't won a playoff game in God knows how long, which is my thing with the Steelers. But again, you can point to the quarterback's room, but then I would then point to the. I don't know. I think some of the stuff that the decisions he made with the OC, what was his name? Whatever their OC, the bald guy, Matt Canada.
Oh.
I thought that was kind of weird, but no, Tomlin's awesome.
I was gonna say there's a lot of bald guys in coaching. Last season's Kings coaching staff, lots of bald guys.
Yeah, dude. Mike Tomlin just built different. I'm gonna go.
Sawmill, we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah, I just saved it.
Oh,
you do it.
No, you go. My hands.
Okay, it's done. Yeah, so I hit my buddy. I hit my guy Neil, who is he is a media member in Pittsburgh. Well, used to be a media member in Pittsburgh. Huge Steelers guy, follows the team in and out. I said, "Are the Steelers good?" And he said, "Nah." They're a very solid team, very good in terms of a high floor, not a high ceiling talent-wise.
Ooh, there's an article on the A's needing to spend at least another $25 million.
Yeah.
Or they risk a grievance from Major League Baseball Players Association.
Yeah. My worry is that they're just going to overspend to do that. Overpay someone.
I want to read this article too by Mark Spears, talking about Shea. His wife played basketball, and she sees things, and if his mindset is off, she makes sure I know. Those are the things that I can control, and she can see if I wear it on my sleeve. I think very similar to De'Aaron Fox, where he has a partner in life that also is very much a basketball junkie.
Oh, here we go. 10 seconds.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
He's James, I'm Kyle, rocking with you until noon. Want to remind everybody to join ESPN 1320 in making a child's holiday season that much brighter. Yeah, bring new unwrapped toys to our ESPN 1320 studios located in Roseville. We're doing that now through December 13th. That's Friday. We're open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. All those toys that you bring are going to stay local and benefit Stanford Sierra youth and families. This holiday season, Stanford Sierra especially needs unwrapped presents for older youth ages 12 to 18 years old. So again, if you could drop those off here at our ESPN 1320 studios at 3010 Lava Ridge Court in Roseville, we would appreciate you immensely. And if you are going to swing by, let me and James know. And if we're around and available, we'll come pop out and say hi and let you know in person how much we appreciate you helping us deliver Christmas this holiday season.
That's right.
Bill Belichick has a new job, it looks like. Well, he might have a new job. It's kind of insane. I'm not going to dig super far into this because it's University of North Carolina football. And I'm not going to go do all the necessary contextual research here, frankly, just to be totally honest. But Ollie Connolly, who's a writer for The Guardian, reports that Bill Belichick has agreed to become the next University of North Carolina head football coach. He handed the school a 400-page organizational Bible with structure, payment plans, staffing choices, etc. The decision on whether to commit with UNC lies with UNC. He's expected to know their decision within 24 hours. Before I continue with these details, if somebody handed me a 400-page, quote-unquote, organizational Bible, I'm out.
If I was offering someone a job and they said, I'll take the job, but here is my 400 pages of demands, I too am out, Kyle.
Like, I get it's Bill Belichick. I understand the allure.
I get it.
I understand why, if you're North Carolina, you would want, that's the best hire you can make. Or the biggest splash hire you can make. I don't know if Bill Belichick will be worth a damn as a college coach. But then he walks in and he drops this 400-page organizational Bible on your desk. Says, yeah, we got to follow these rules. And now, let me give you some additional context. This is, again, Ollie Connolly of the Guardian. Belichick's Bible would require historic levels of investment from the school. It includes salary minimums position by position and a willingness to hire 2 staffs, a coaching staff run by Belichick, a recruitment staff run by a sitting college GM who would require a buyout.
Clearly, he wants Adrian Wojnarowski.
Yeah, he wants Woj. Get him out of St. Bonaventure. Get him down to North Carolina. Get Woj to run North Carolina's football program.
Yeah.
Belichick has a college and pro version of his updated manual and has shared it with other schools and NFL teams, but he drafted a new one specific to UNC that touched on every aspect of the program and school. It will need sign-off from AD, chancellor, trustees, and boosters, and apparently there's already pushback from the group of 13 trustees. Belichick is unsure if the school will meet his demands and is unwilling to negotiate.
This is a like Jerry Maguire moment.
Bro, the unwillingness to negotiate, I was joking. I said somebody handed me a 400-page thing, but like it's Bill Belichick. Okay, if this is what the non-negotiables.
Oh yeah.
If you're not negotiating, then okay, then we're done here. You don't actually want to be here. You don't actually want to do this.
That's what it kind of feels like.
Right? You'll do this if you can have all of the control. You're laying out every single step-by-step way this is going to go. I don't want to be a part of that. Even if it is Bill Belichick. It's not my bag.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Whoever North Carolina now hires, let's say they say no to Bill Belichick, which sounds nuts just on the surface. Whoever they hire is going to be underwhelming. No matter who they bring in, unless it's Nick Saban. No matter who they bring in, except for Nick Saban, it's going to feel underwhelming. And if that person doesn't perform, if they're not going to the college football playoff consistently, if they're not having great recruiting classes, UNC football fans, if there are any, are going to go, you could have Belichick. Why did you have Belichick doing all this?
Okay, but
I feel so bad for whoever the next head coach is if it's not Bill Belichick.
Is it just me or are we missing something here? I mean, this is UNC.
Yeah.
They are a basketball powerhouse.
Basketball school.
Okay. I mean,
and
sure.
A baseball school kind of?
They've put some really, really nice defensive linemen into the draft and like in the 2000s.
Salute to Julius Peppers.
Yeah, they've done a good job there, but they're not known as this football juggernaut. So,
Drake May.
Okay. I'm just confused. I'm confused why. Like if this is
Mitchell Trubisky.
If this is like Texas or it's like some monster football school, it's like, oh, I get this.
Yeah.
But this isn't that. This is like, hey, we're gonna
and that's
figure out a way to win here.
That's what it said. They're gonna have to restructure and reorganize how they deal with their football program. That's kind of wild. But if you're looking at the 12-team college football playoff and you're going, man, we can make a ton of money if we make the playoffs here a couple years in a row, and this guy has a plan to get us there.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm out if I'm UNC. It also has to come with a guarantee that Steve Belichick, who is on the defensive staff at UW, University of Washington right now, it would be a succession plan where he would be the head coach after Bill.
Oh, that's built in too?
Yes.
There's like a built-in...
Yes.
Like,
you are committing to the Belichicks.
Okay, like there's a built-in monarchy system. Yes. He wants a monarchy system built into...
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
We've got King Henry the 7th and the 8th ready to go.
Yeah. And he wants unlimited hoodies with sleeves cut off.
Yes.
Unlimited hoodies.
Does he cut off his own sleeves, or is there a person who does it for him? I don't know.
A dedicated sleeve cutter offer. It's in the 400 pages.
If I was going to do that, if I was going to do a 400-page organizational Bible, like if I did that for this show and I said, hey, this is how the show needs to go. Here's 400 pages on it. I would definitely tuck in on page 294, just something silly like that. Like I require 1 bag of M&Ms every day.
And then you'd be like, hey, how come you're not living up to the thing? It's like, well, I read part of it. Like,
yeah, I skimmed it. Was it Van Halen that did that?
Oh, probably.
There was a band, and I the Chatty House may know. I think I'm going to say Van Halen without certainty. It was Van Halen. they would write into their contract silly stuff like the M&Ms in the green room can only be one color, whatever, some certain color, just to see if they were reading the contract.
Okay.
That's kind of what I would do.
All right. They're like the what is it, an elf, the writer they brought in to
Miles.
Yes.
What was his name?
It is Miles something.
Miles Greenway?
Oh, I can't remember.
No, it's Greenway. Greenway is something in that movie. Miles.
Oh man.
Oh, it was Van Halen. Someone said it was Van Halen.
It is Van Halen that
Miles Finch. Thank you,
Miles
Soren.
Finch.
Miles Finch.
Yes, there we go. That's right. Maybe that's
no
where
vegetables.
they found that.
Too vulnerable.
This whole story's about a peach. Is there a more vulnerable fruit than a peach?
That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders. Sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Deebo Samuel. Been having a rough year. The 49ers former All-Pro wide receiver had 2 catches for 22 yards on Sunday. He had 5 carries for 13 yards. At halftime, he had 3 carries for -3 yards. And on a day where everything was working offensively, the Deebo Samuel stuff was still not working. This season, Samuel has 92 rushing yards and 1 touchdown on 32 carries. And he has 553 receiving yards and 1 touchdown on 40 receptions. He took to Twitter yesterday. After his team won 38-13. After his team finally played with some urgency, they scored more than 30 points for the first time since week 6. They scored more than 17 points for the first time since week 10. Finally right the ship, and you got Deebo Samuel firing off on Twitter in a since-deleted tweet. Not struggling at all, just not getting the ball with 7 exclamation points.
Anything more than 4 is egregious.
Too many.
Yeah. I actually...
That's frustration.
Sometimes I sort of... 3's the number to emphatically say something.
Yeah.
You go 7,
that's a good
seems
number.
A little bit like possession after possession after possession.
Yeah, because 3 is like I'm mad. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
You get to 7, you're hammering that exclamation point. There's anger in that. But anyways, getting away from that. He then tweeted, just because I voice my opinions don't mean I'm hating on any of my teammates. Be for real. All right, that's fair. I'll buy that.
Okay.
Here's what I don't buy. I'm not struggling at all. Just not getting the ball. Let's talk about it. He's receiving 6 touches a game this year. That is down from 6.5 last year. He was over 7 the year before that. The problem is not opportunities. Deebo is not getting the ball as much because he's not as good. That's the bottom line. And I can give you numbers. I'm going to skip the numbers. His broken tackles are way down. His yards after contact, way down. His yards after catch per reception, way down. All of those numbers, all those numbers that were the foundation of what he was as a player are gone. They are bottom of the barrel, lowest of his career across the board. Mm-hmm. You don't need the numbers, though. Watch him play football. Watch Deebo Samuel. And tell me that that's the same player that he was. I'm not even going to go to 2021 because I don't think he'll ever be that player again. I said it during that season. I said, man, he'll probably never do this again. This is remarkable. We may never see anything like 2021 Deebo Samuel again at the wide receiver position. 1,400 receiving yards, almost 400 rushing yards. Was it 18 touchdowns?
He had 6 receiving and 8
14
rushing.
touchdowns.
8 rushing. Yep.
It was unbelievable.
Yep.
Didn't think so let's just go to last year. And you can tell he's just not the same guy. He doesn't get to the corner. He doesn't turn the corner. He's not breaking tackles. I don't need Pro Football Focus analytics to tell me all this. It's like, yeah, dog, you're not getting the ball because you're not as good anymore. Tweeting that doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
We all nobody Nobody believes you. What's the goal here? You can go down to Kyle Shanahan's office. You're Deebo freaking Samuel, bro. You can go down to Kyle Shanahan's office and knock on the door and go, hey, man, I think that I'm not getting enough opportunities to help the team. That's it. You can just go do that.
Yeah, I don't think that going to Twitter has ever helped anyone.
Never.
Or
Not once have I
Instagram.
seen an athlete tweet something in frustration about whether it's their themselves or their coach or their teammates. Never once have I seen an angry tweet from an athlete and been like, oh, yeah, that's the move.
That's going to be what fixes everything.
This is going to help.
This is going to pull them all together. All together.
And the follow-up, just because I voice my opinions, doesn't mean I'm hating on any of my teammates. Before, like, okay, understood. He's not saying, hey, George Kittle shouldn't get the ball, I should. He's just saying he should get more opportunities. He had 7 touches on Sunday, and he had 35 yards in those 7 touches. His longest carry was 8 yards. His longest carry of the season, 12 yards. And not as good of a player.
No.
And it's been clear to anybody who watches the 49ers this year. I don't understand this. This is not like Deebo is, and let me say this. Deebo is a foundational piece of what the 49ers have been for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. You can't tell the story of the Kyle Shanahan era without having Deebo Samuel front and center of that story. There is a generation of 49er fans who are going to be Deebo Samuel fans the rest of their lives. I was at Levi Stadium on Sunday. A lot of number 19 jerseys, a lot of number 1 jerseys with Samuel on the back. But it's reached a point where when he motions into the backfield, several people in my section are like, no, don't give him the ball. And then they hand it to him and it's like, as the play's happening, people are like, nope, not going anywhere.
Yeah. He's a shell, man. He is. He's a shell of himself. And this happens in the NFL. I mean, we watch players who are just so dynamic and so good, and then all of a sudden they're not. I mean, and wide receivers are notorious for this, but that's why running backs get 4-year deals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and to be honest with you, he's more of a running back than he is a receiver at this point. You know, he's got 5 drops on the season, and a couple of them are very, very costly drops.
Mm-hmm.
And he just hasn't been great. And you know what? While he's not been great, Juwan Jennings is out there doing what he can.
Being outstanding.
He's going out there and he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver.
That's crazy. Is he really?
Yeah, he's well on pace. I think he's over 800 yards. He's on pace to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver.
He's at 774.
Okay.
So they got 4 games left.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs 226
yards.
26? Yeah, you can get there.
Yeah. I mean, with the way he's playing, heck yeah, you can get there. Yeah. So, I mean, Kittle will go over 1,000 yards again.
He should. Yep.
And so should Jennings. And so it's not like the offense just stopped. It's like he stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough.
It was so glaring because look, it was the first sign to me that, oh man, maybe he's not right.
Mm-hmm.
It was in week 10 against Tampa Bay. They ran a jet sweep and the defensive tackle beat Deebo to the corner.
Oh, that's not good.
And I was willing to go, okay, maybe it was a scheme thing. I don't know. Okay, fine. But that was the first. The big red flags went up in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Backup quarterback, cold game. That used to be Deebo time. That used to be screens for Deebo, handoffs to Deebo. They are going to get him involved, and he is going to be the guy who carries the offense. They designed one touch for him, and it was not a run play. It was the double reverse flea flicker screen pass thing that last year he probably houses and he didn't. That's when the big red flags went up for me. But okay, cold game, backup quarterback. You're already down because you lost to the Seahawks. Okay, fine. The Buffalo game. Okay, fine. It was cold and McCaffrey went out and you're down $1 million and game script and it's snowing. Okay, fine. I'll even give you that. It was so glaring on Sunday when the entire 49ers offense is cooking. George Kittle, cooking. Isaac Arendo, cooking. Brock Purdy, looks like MVP level Brock Purdy again.
Yep.
Did I say George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, cooking. Deebo Samuel, not cooking.
Yep.
7 touches, 35 yards. And of those 35 yards, 20 of them came on his first reception. So he had 4 more touches for 15 yards.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, 6 more touches for 15 yards.
It just feels like it's so easy to see where he won't be there going forward.
Right, especially if he's going to go out and throw his coach under the bus on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because that's what that is. He can say all he wants. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just my opinion. Like, no, you're expressing your opinion that you're not getting the ball enough, which, okay, there's 2 people that can be. That's Kyle Shanahan's fault, or that's Brock Purdy's fault.
Brock Purdy's fault. Yeah.
Those are your 2 options.
We had an interesting situation with Mike Brown the other day in pregame, and it was about, hey, how do you get player X more shots? And he said straight up, he said, we will call plays on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but just so you know, the players on the court have the authority to supersede our play call every single time, except for maybe like a last second end of the game play. Every single other play, they have ultimate carte blanche to do whatever they want on the court. If Domantas Sabonis wants the ball, he raises his hand, walks up to the top, calls for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
He's like, if De'Aaron Fox decides he's going to do something, he'll call out something, or he'll call for a screen. He'll use that screen and he'll go create for himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, they know what they're doing in the flow of the game, and they get to do whatever they want on the field, on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, is there a player who's not getting enough shots certain games? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go ask for it.
Right.
It's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's built into our system.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, if you want to be a guy who gets more involved, then go get more involved.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And so that's not the way it is for Deebo. Clearly there are plays that have to be run for him, but I also have watched Brock Purdy stand in the pocket this season in particular way longer than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there going through progressions. If Deebo's wide open, he's not going to not throw to Deebo just because.
Right.
There's a reason why he's not getting the ball. And whether it's that he's not getting separation or he's not getting enough separation, because that seems to be one of the problems I've seen with him. He's not getting enough separation. And so Purdy's looking at him like, okay, well, I can't. There's somebody else lurking there. I can't squeeze the ball into that window.
Right.
And not risk making a mistake for us as a team.
That's it.
So,
and he got, I'm gonna call these opportunities. This is carries and targets. 8 against Chicago. 8 against Buffalo. 5, but again, weird game script. Okay. Green Bay 4, Seattle 8, Tampa Bay 9, Dallas 11. It's not like he's not involved. He's just not producing.
Yeah.
Which is the problem. And I think Deebo Samuel goes on Twitter and sees people pointing to his counting stats, saying, oh, he's only on pace for this many yards. But people are using numbers to convey what they're seeing with their eyes. And that's that Deebo Samuel's not the same dude.
Yeah.
And if he thinks it's opportunity related, well, he's wrong. Just to be frank.
Yeah.
5 carries for 13 yards. Here's in every game that he's gotten 3+ carries this year. 5 for 13 against Chicago with a long of 8. Which means he had 5 yards on his other 4 carries. 3 for 14 against Tampa Bay with a long of 12, which means he had 2 yards on his other 2 carries. 4 for 15 against Dallas. 4 for 15 against Seattle in week 6 on Thursday night. 3 for 9 against Arizona and 8 for 23 against Jets. This is not good enough, man.
I'm just looking at even on NFL Football Reference. Last year as a receiver, he had 13 broken tackles as a receiver and another 4 as a running back. He's got 4 total this year, as opposed to 17 broken tackles a year before. And again, in his prime, 22 broken tackles in the 2021 season. But every season after that, 15, 17, and all of a sudden it's 4.
Yeah.
You're just not the same dynamic player.
That's it.
For whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
That's it. And that's why I'm going to stop short of calling him washed. Maybe, but he was good last year. Not as effective as he was in 2021, but again, I understood in 2021 that he was probably never going to be that player again, but he was still an effective player last year. I don't think he woke up washed. I don't think Deebo Samuel woke up in week 2 and went, nah, I'm not good anymore. So maybe he's banged up. It would not shock me at all.
We get the Fred Warner announcement. I've been playing with a broken ankle the whole time.
Right. And this is me speculating. Total speculation here. But it wouldn't shock me. And again, I am making this up. This is not reporting. I am a guy with a microphone speculating. It wouldn't shock me at all if we got that notification that, oh yeah, Deebo Samuel is out in week 18, or Deebo Samuel is having surgery on this in the offseason.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me one bit, because that would help explain whatever this is this season.
Yeah, especially at 27, 28. I mean, you don't usually lose 28 going on 29. But as a receiver, you don't usually lose your fastball this quick.
Yeah, right. This fast. Like, it's not just a follow-up, it's how steep it's been.
Yeah.
Crazy. And now he's taking to Twitter to vent his frustration.
Especially
cool, man.
When you don't even have McCaffrey to catch balls, or you don't have Ayuk to catch balls. Like, the fact that he's just wilted under that is crazy.
Yeah. This used to be where he shined.
Yeah.
Now he's struggling. Anyways, shout out to Deebo. Jimmy Butler on the trading block? Should the Kings be involved?
No.
The Brooklyn Nets collectively on the trading block? Should the Kings be involved? We'll talk about all of that coming up. And the NBA Cup schedule stinks. I want to get to that as well. He's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We have a second hour coming up right here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center. Clear.
What's going on, good people? It's hard to say. Let's see. Wow. That's a crazy stat.
What?
That Deebo's third on the team in touches. But that's a little skewed because of the injury to McCaffrey. But still, he's had opportunities. And I agree. Kittle has been a beast this year. It's on his way, Scooter. I have to go through my guy to have certain sizes made. So I'll get it to you. Have I ever been to Spain? Yes, I've been to Spain.
So we do a little New Year's Eve shindig with our friends every year.
Uh-huh.
And they come down. It's my buddy and his wife and another couple of our friends, and they come down to my house, and we have a little New Year's party. This year, we're gonna hit Chili's. Me and the bros are gonna hit Chili's for lunch, where we want to drink Modelo, eat skillet queso, and watch weird college football games. Here's the slate for that Tuesday: Louisville at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina at Illinois. That's prime for me. That's a really good random college game. We've got Baylor at LSU, 2 8-4 teams going at it. And then at 4:30, we'll have a college football quarterfinal. Boise State hosting whoever they're going to host.
Oh,
still TBD.
I'm
so fired up,
all
dude.
Day.
I'm queso,
at
Modelo's at the Chili's. I can't wait.
Somebody said something about a quesadilla salad.
Quesadilla Explosion is very good salad.
Okay.
Yeah. It's outstanding. Yeah, see, Soren gets it. For me, it'll be under, because I'll probably have to drive. So for me, it'll be under that, at least at Chili's.
Oh.
We're TBD for the entire night, though.
Why don't you just Uber?
Well, maybe.
Yeah,
I do that.
it's not that far from your house, right?
No. Oh, this is facts. We might do a little triple dipper too.
I love their Southwest egg rolls.
Oh, Southwest egg rolls are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, the skillet queso is fantastic.
Rust Dog, what in the world are you asking right there? They should trade for them both. Come on. They have an extra $90 million in payroll that they can just throw at those guys. They're the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, why not? Hey, this is facts. Love Modelo.
I like
Dude,
nigger
drop
Modelo.
in for some queso and a Modelo, Zabo.
That's right.
Hey, when I was playing slow pitch down in Arizona, every league in Arizona that I played in was doubleheader. So you play 2 games a night. And the sick thing about Arizona is because of the weather, the leagues don't stop. Your championship is one Wednesday, and then your league starts up the next Wednesday. No winter break, no fall break, nothing. You just play year round. It was so much fun. And one of my teams, so we'd go play our couple of games, and then we'd hit the Applebee's late night happy hour. And that was always whatever beer and wonton tacos for your boy. I love those things.
That sounds
like Rocco Pacifico too.
I don't think I could get back out and play softball.
It's a good question from David. We'll answer this during the segment.
Yes, David, we'll get on that one.
I don't think he would be. They don't need another ball handler, you know?
Yeah, it's too much. You traded for DeMar DeRozan. You don't really need him.
This is the right question. Thank you, Dr. Gonzo. DR Gonzo? Dr. Gonzo? You're going to be Dr. Gonzo. This is the better question with Ben Simmons. Would you sign him as a low dollar free agent? And I would do that so fast. I would do it so fast, bro.
Maybe. I mean, that's like a full-on Oakland A's move to go get some reclamation project and see if you can fix him. But I don't
even think it's about fixing him. I think you know what he is.
Oh, I don't know.
Very good defensively.
But he doesn't play, and that's what I mean by fixing him.
Yeah.
So I've always thought that Ben Simmons in a major market is like the worst thing ever. It's what he wants, but not what he needs.
There you go. Coming back.
All right.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon. Then we will hand it off to D-Lo and KC. If you'd like to join the program, please do. 916-909-1320. That's 916-909-1320. You know what's kind of crazy? And Mitch, I see you on the line. We'll get to Mitch in New Jersey here in a second. You know what's kind of crazy? Is I think that's the first time we've done a full hour of our show without like involving the Kings.
I mean, yeah, we mentioned them here and there, but yeah, I'm with you.
That was wild. Did a whole hour. Now we're going to talk about them a bunch. Lock in, everybody. Before we do that, though, Mitch in New Jersey has been waiting patiently. We appreciate you so much. Mitch, what's going on?
Kyle, James, how you guys doing?
Doing great. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I do as well. First of all, slices, that's the way to go. You gotta have the pizza in the East Coast. That's the best pizza. Slice, not this pie. I go there. I was out there, living out there. Little Caesar,
hey,
Pizza Hut.
Can I ask what sparked this?
Sure, go ahead.
Mitch? Yeah. Why are you talking to me about pizza?
Oh, because James mentioned about like 45 minutes ago.
I ran to go get pizza last night.
Oh, got it. Okay, dang. Mitch is dialed. Let's go. All right, what do you got, Mitch?
I think Buffalo shows they don't have a good defense. I not go with KC. I would bank on one of the Harbor brothers getting to the Super Bowl, knocking off KC at least, because I think Detroit and Minnesota are going to be playing in the championship. That's my prediction. You know, Sam Darnold and Geno Smith is having a better year than Purdy. Take note.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Appreciate you.
All right.
Mitch says that I think every time he calls. I think if Brock Purdy had been playing for the Vikings and Sam Darnold had been playing for the 49ers, I don't think the teams are probably that much different. The Vikings, I think, are just a better team than the 49ers this year. And I think Sam Darnold is benefiting from that. The interesting thing with Minnesota is, what do they do with Sam Darnold if they go to the NFC title game?
They've already said they're not going to talk contract extension with him. It's just
right now.
Yeah.
But you just drafted a quarterback in the first round, J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold gets you to the NFC title game, or just letting him walk?
How old is Sam Darnold?
20. Let's see, his 2017 draft, 2018 draft.
So what is he? 30? 28?
No, he's like 28.
27.
27. Turns 28 before next season. So next season will be his age 28 season. He wins you a playoff game. You're gonna have a hard time letting him walk.
Oh, I agree. I mean, he's been really good.
Yeah.
Like his stats, 3,299
He's
yards,
been outstanding.
28 touchdowns and 10 picks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's been lighting it up. Shout out to Sam Darnold. Love it for our guy. And Kevin O'Connell continues to be one of the 5 best coaches in the NFL. All right, Sacramento Kings. Let's get this out of the way first. Shams Charania, because on December 15th, that's when players, explain this for me, acquired this offseason, signed this offseason.
Players signed to free agent contracts during the offseason are eligible to be traded as of December 15th.
Right.
So free agent acquisitions. So I think free agent acquisitions, it doesn't encompass anyone. I think it doesn't encompass only that. I think like a guy like DeMar DeRozan, I believe you have to wait, even though he was acquired in a sign and trade. He was still acquired. There was a contract extension this summer.
I see. Okay.
So I believe that there are dates for every single one of these guys. Doug McDermott can't be traded until like sometime in January after his contract becomes guaranteed.
Okay.
But that's because he signed late. But there are other players like, hiding on the Kings roster. I even like a guy, I'm not totally positive with rookie scales, but like I think you have to wait until a certain time with even Devin Carter before you can trade him.
So we're going to start seeing all this trade stuff start to trickle out now.
Well, that's what it always heats up right now, and then nothing happens.
Right.
But I kind of feel like this is a season where there might be some movement because I think there are teams right now who either realize that this is this is the beginning of what will be a seller's market because there's too many teams that are involved that still think they have a shot. I mean, even in the East, there's a bunch of teams that are just sitting there. And then you're going to have a couple of teams that really, really want Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to tank outside of, make it a visual tank where they're sitting players and stuff, but they certainly could get to a point where they're trading away talent right now so they can be a worse team and they can collect things like draft capital and all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's going to be a strange couple of months here before the trade deadline. But Shams Charania from ESPN is reporting that the Heat are open to trade offers on Jimmy Butler. First of all, let's dissect that.
Okay.
I think every team is probably open to trade offers on every player. Almost.
Yeah.
There's probably 10 guys in the league who don't fit that.
No, I would agree with that.
But if most players are available for the right price.
Well, I mean, the Jimmy Butler thing has been really interesting because the Heat have been very clear that they have no interest in extending him if he's going to do some of the antic stuff that he's done.
Sure.
Especially in the playoffs where they're like, hey, if you're not here to win, then what are we doing?
Right. He's talking trash and not playing. Pat Riley didn't like that.
No. And Pat Riley also went out and was very clear, well, you're not getting an extension.
Yeah.
So he's a player who's on just like a crazy deal.
Sure. So
I think this year he's at like $48 million and he has a player option next year for $52 million. And he's telling teams right now, that's what we're reading, that he's already told teams that if you're trading for him, that he's opting out of his deal. Child, please. There's no way he's opting out of $52 million next year.
What is he going to be? 36?
He'll be 36. He'll never get that money again.
He's not opting out of $52 million.
He's not getting $52 million in an
Although
opt-out.
he's kind of an odd duck. It wouldn't surprise me if he did that just out of spite, which I respect immensely.
Okay.
I wholly respect somebody who wants to be petty and be like, I've made enough money. I said I'm going to opt out, so I'm just going to do it. I might have to sign for $12 million a year, but I said I was going to opt out and I stuck to it.
You never go
The hell with the money.
You never go full Latrell Sprewell. Like, look, he just there's no way he's opted. What he could do is, hey, if you're trading for me, I want a 2-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
And teams are going to be like, a 2-year extension on what? Like, we're not giving you a 2-year extension on the 50. Like, based off of that, you're not getting like 55 and 59 or 60. You're not getting a 2-year, $120 million extension on top of us paying you 50 next year, not at 37 and 38.
And not playing at the level he's playing.
Look, man, I'm not touching that trade. Like, I get it. He is a winner, but he's also like a destructive force within a franchise. He has been multiple spots.
Sure.
And so, okay, like if I'm the Kings, first of all, there's no way to afford a Jimmy Butler because
you're trading one of your massive contracts to go get him.
Well, exactly. Now you literally you have to include. You can't get around it. You have to include a DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
Like, that's the only way to do it is, DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Huerter and player because you're also worried.
You got to make salaries.
Man. You got to match the salaries almost completely.
Right.
Or either you're in the luxury tax or you're above that.
And you're hard capped at 178.
178. Yeah. So you're going to have to come up with close to his salary.
Yeah.
And it's outrageous. I mean, it's a lot of money. And I don't know if it makes any sense for it doesn't. I'm just going to say it. It doesn't make any sense for the Kings to go chase Jimmy Butler. I put him in the same category that I put Ben Simmons. Just Ben Simmons at $40 million. No. Did she play?
I get the idea. In theory, like prime Jimmy Butler would be exactly what the Kings need.
Sure.
Got to go be an awesome defender, an all NBA defense.
But that's 7 years ago.
Right.
6 years ago.
Yes.
And can playoff Jimmy show up? Sure. But that doesn't mean he will. Like, because not at his age. And
he's still a good player.
Yeah.
Not worth the assets it would take to get him.
Well, plus he just does not fit the style of play. Like, if you're all of a sudden going to go trade for Jimmy Butler, then you're just becoming like a straight up no flow offense team. Like, all of that's done. You have to scrap everything midseason and then hope that it works out, and then hope that he opts in, or maybe hope that he opts into a $52 million contract for next year.
Ugh. All right.
I say no.
I'm out. What about, we were talking about this at the break, just real quick. And well, I guess it actually fits because you talk about teams that are like tanking, maybe not openly. The Nets, and this has been pretty widely reported, are open for business, which I think is really interesting because the play-in tournament was supposed to incentivize teams like the Nets, who are sitting here at 10-14, about a quarter of the way through the season, and sitting at the number 8 seed, right behind in the Pacers, the Bulls, the Pistons. Not a ton of the Sixers are down there. Not a ton of teams that it's like, oh man, that major threat. There's a real chance that if Brooklyn sees this thing through, they wind up in the play-in tournament. And once you're in the play-in tournament, who the heck knows what happens?
Exactly.
Yet they're full bore on sell, building for the future. They want draft picks. They're dangling Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Dennis Schroeder, who's having an outstanding year. They're dangling those 3 guys. The Kings should be interested in all of them. Maybe not Schroeder, a good player, but not necessarily a need. So the Kings should at least be interested in Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith.
Oh, I would agree. And like, I don't know how. Okay, so
I mean, I would imagine they are if the Nets are taking calls.
In reality, the Kings, like any of the 3, 2 of the 3 would make a lot of sense to the Kings. I mean,
you think Schroeder still would?
Yeah, I mean, Schroeder makes sense because you just moved Malik Monk in the starting lineup, and so having a guy like Schroeder off the bench, man, that would be really, really nice. I mean. But it's a luxury piece, and Schroeder's on under contract for $13 million this year, and then he's a free agent next year. So, I mean, you're basically would just be renting him. Dorian Finney-Smith is at $14.9 million for this year. He has a player option at 15.4 for next year. And then we have Cam Johnson at 22.5 for this year, 20.5 next year, 22.5 the year after that. So you're looking at a 28-year-old who's locked up at 28, 29, and 30-year-old seasons.
Have you come around a little on Cam Johnson?
Well, Cam Johnson's played really well this season. And some of the issues that I've had with Cam in the past is like, look, he got to that team last year and they had no scores, and all he had to do was go out there and score.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like he refused to, you know, and this year he's figured it out. And I know he would like to stay in Brooklyn. But again, last year he played 58 games for that team, and he averaged 13.4 points per game on a team that couldn't score and needed somebody to be more aggressive.
That's part of why they acquired him.
Yeah. With
to
Mikal
be that
Bridges.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was supposed to elevate his game over those couple of years and with an opportunity to be that dude.
Yeah. And even in his first year in Brooklyn, he was at 16.6 a game. Right now, he's averaging 18.8 points per game. He's shooting 43.4% on 7.6 attempts per game.
My God.
From three. So, yeah, this is one of those guys. He shoots the free throws at 90.7. He's really close to a 50-40-90 guy right now. He's a 48.8, but with 43.4 from three and 90.7 from the free throw line. And he's a good defender. Like, there's a lot to this. He's a super athlete. And, if I'm the Kings, I would at least, kick the tires. He is a player who has been injured multiple times in his career and doesn't play a ton of games. But so far this season, he's playing in every game. And he's kind of taken that next leap. And this is the type of player that I put, like I've said this a million times, but I put him in the category of like a Harrison Barnes. Like, and I don't mean he's going to match Harrison Barnes' stats, although his stats do match.
Are we still talking Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith?
Cam Johnson.
Got it. Okay.
But Cam Johnson is a guy who is of the player caliber of a guy like Harrison Barnes, of a guy like Kevin Huerter, of even like Malik Monk. They're like really, really good, just below all-star level players. And they're not going to make an all-star team. But if you have a bunch of these guys on your roster to go with a couple of superstars, you got an opportunity to be really good. And so I like him. I like Dorian Finney-Smith. Is a little older. He's an upgrade over Jay Crowder just because he's younger. But realistically, he's like a younger version of, but not that much younger version of Jay Crowder.
Yeah. But the exact type of player the Kings need.
Yeah.
Like, you could see where Dorian Finney-Smith would come in and play a really, really key role for them nightly.
No, totally. If I had my choice, again, I would try to get two of them, because I think there is a way to get two of them. It's not going to feel good, and you're going to have to make some tough roster decisions. But there is a way to get, again, two of these guys, whether it's Dennis Schroeder and Cam Johnson, or Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. You can still work out that deal. Even acquiring a Dorian Finney-Smith and a Dennis Schroeder at like, you're looking at $28 million worth of salary. So, I mean, just quick math, $28 million worth of salary. You're looking at 17 for Huerter, 8 for Trey Lyles. That puts you at 25. And then maybe throw in a Colby Jones. That puts you at 27, and boom, the deal's done. And you didn't absorb a bunch of contract to go over the luxury tax.
Right.
So there are a lot of ways that you could work these some of these deals out. Now they're going to want something.
I have a bunch of questions. Go on.
They're going to want draft picks.
So that was my first question. Well, actually, hang on. So let's put a pin in the draft picks. I'm going to write that down. Picks. You mentioned the luxury tax with the Kings. I think that's going to be something as trade season kind of heats up here. I think that's going to be something that gets talked about a lot, because the Kings are currently under the tax. And you mentioned that when we're talking about these trades, you said that keeps them under the luxury tax. Do you think that's something that is going to be a goal of theirs? Like, if they can acquire Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith, but the way it works out is it's going to put them over the tax, do you think they would not do that trade?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because to date, Vivek has never done it.
Right.
Right.
They've also never really been good enough.
No, I get that. I think that they would want to have as close to a net neutral trade as possible, even if that meant giving up a player that you maybe didn't want to give up. Right. So, not that they're out there shopping Devin Carter. I have never heard that. But like, if you don't want to give up a future first round pick, but you have a first round pick who hasn't played yet, who's almost healthy, almost ready to roll, and who some people look at as like easily like a top 7, 8 pick in this last year's draft. Okay. I mean, that might be intriguing to a team.
It's an asset.
As a compensation instead of a first round pick. And then, if you're going to do that, again, you got to make a decision if you need cap filler. Would Colby Jones be something that you would give up? Sure, in a trade to balance the books. But if you're dealing with a team like the Nets and Jordy Fernandez is there and says, "Hey, we want this deal, but we want Keon Ellis," and you're like, "Okay, so that's tough."
That's tough,
right? So giving up a young asset, I'd rather give up a second round pick or multiple second round picks than give up a guy like Keon Ellis in a trade like that. But again, if you don't want to give up first round picks or you want to give up, say, a lottery protected first round pick, then you're going to have to give up assets outside of that. And so I think it's tough because, it is resetting and rebooting in the middle of a season, but I think you have plenty of time to recover here. And it's clear the Kings could really use a 6'8" guy.
They got to do something.
They could really use a 6'8" and a 6'6" guy that plays defense, 2 defensive guys.
Interchangeable, yeah.
And then for that matter, like the Schroeder thing, I've never been a huge fan of Dennis Schroeder, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't trade for him in this situation. You're looking at, again, a budget situation where you're bringing him in on a $13 million deal that will dissolve at the end of the season. You know who he is and what he brings. He plays pace and space. He can hit threes. He can run the pick and roll. Like, if you don't think Dennis Schroeder would be good,
he's a pesky defender.
Yeah, like he would be good in this situation. 2 weeks ago, I would have said no way. The Kings don't need Dennis Schroeder. They've got Malik Monk, but now Malik Monk is in their starting lineup, and it changes the dynamic. And if you could get a guy who could lead something off the bench, now I'm not saying that the Kings are going to make a move here or not, but I do know that like these teams have talked in recently, and not only that, but like the Nets have been open for business nonstop. Like
that's crazy to me.
This is not something that, like, when Shams reported yesterday, Michael Scotto reported it earlier, well before Shams did.
Yeah.
We reported it a couple of days before that. Like, they are very specifically,
they are open for business.
They are open for business 100%.
Not a secret.
They want assets.
It's kind of crazy that they're this open for business when they're 2.5 games out of the number 6 seed.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
No,
I get it. The logic of why they would do that doesn't escape me. I was just always under the assumption that teams in that spot would go, all right, well, hey, we're going to hang on to these dudes because we might be able to make a little push this year. But you saw the Bulls do that and hose themselves. So
I will tell you this. I was Dave Yeager signed a 3-year contract with the Sacramento Kings, 3 or 4. And his first year, his team was DeMarcus Cousins, Rudy Gay. They brought in Omri Caspi, and like the whole team is veteran, right? They had Kosta Koufis, like the whole team is a veteran squad. And then they had young players. They had Willie, but then they also, that's the year they traded for Buddy. They ended up acquiring Buddy in the DeMarcus Cousins trade. But they had also drafted, I think, Scal, Malachi, and
Justin Jackson?
No, Yorgos Papagiannis.
No, of course.
Right. So you had this.
Justin Jackson was a Harry Giles draft. Sorry.
Yeah, that was 2017. So I was standing with Dave, and I said, "Hey man, you got some young players that you got a lot of work to do on." He said, "Just wait till next year." Like, what do you mean wait till next year? Because you had this whole veteran team. He's like, "Yeah, just wait till next year." And then boom, they traded DeMarcus. Boom, they just cleared everything out. And that's the 2017 draft when they bring in De'Aaron Fox. They bring in Giles and Jackson, Frank Mason with early second-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
And then they signed Bogdan Bogdanovic to come over from Europe. So 5 more rookies, plus they traded for Buddy. So now they had 9 first and second-year players and Willie Cauley-Stein from the previous draft.
Jeez.
So Dave wasn't lying when he said, "Hey, just wait till next year." He knew exactly what was coming, and I think that Jordy Fernandez knows exactly what's coming, and he took that job knowing exactly what was coming. Hey, man, you got to get these players playing well so we can shop them and look at what Schroeder's doing, look what Cam Johnson's doing. Those the numbers might be inflated.
Yeah.
But they all love playing for Jordy and want to be there.
Yeah.
Like Cam Johnson said, like, hey, I'm okay being here. I love playing for Jordy, and I would love to see this thing through and be part of the veterans that kind of take this thing to the next level.
King should go get Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas.
They should. I love Cam Thomas. I'd buy a jersey. I'd be so happy.
That would be wild.
Not a great move. Wouldn't be the right basketball move. No. But for me personally, I would love that so much.
Well, that and Cam Thomas.
Watching 82 Cam Thomas games a year would be electric.
He does not make a lot of money, Cam Thomas. I don't believe.
Even better.
Yeah.
I love Cam Thomas. All right. Our guy Will Z wrote an interesting thing about the Kings offense that I would like to dive into next. Plus, I want to complain about the NBA schedule. We'll do that all in the final segment. He's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports.
Cam Thomas makes $4 million this year.
Good God.
And he has a qualifying offer of $6 million for next year. So he's playing out the end of his rookie scale.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Maybe. Hang on.
You know who makes a lot of money for the Nets? Nick Claxton.
Oh, yeah, he got paid.
27.5, 25. 4? Maybe? That's just a lot of money. I like Nick Claxton, but he's kind of limited in who he is, what he does. I'm not paying $27.5 million for a guy who averages 9.8, 7.8. I don't know. Like pick and roll guy would be great for Malik Monk. They have a couple of guys that are like that, I guess. I don't know. If he shot the 3, I would consider it. Yeah, Uncle Looney, this is... I totally agree. Yeah. That would be tough. Yeah. I can't... Who was... Oh, yeah. I know someone who was pitching that Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma mess. Don't they have a nickname for those two? I don't know. Word. I've never had a problem with the team making a move to save money if it doesn't touch anything that they're doing. Like if it doesn't touch the core and it's like, hey, you should want your franchise to be solvent, like to have money to like to go out and like if there's a way to add $2.5 million just in pure cash at the deadline, but that should be something that you do after you do all your other moves and you've already, improved your roster. Tom L, we did not get to this. I think that there are people within the walls that like one of them, and then other people like the other. And I'm not going to get into that too much. But Cam Johnson is a higher end player. But Dorian Finney-Smith is I want to say a more winning player. But I also look at a 28-year-old Cam Johnson, and Cam I look at the same way that I could see the Kings looking at Keegan Murray. Like he's a young body. He came into the league and was in the league like 3 years, and we all thought he was 21. And he was really 25 already. So he took a long time to mature physically. And I think you're just now getting to like prime Cam Johnson and whether his body holds up or whatever. I mean, he's almost 29. It's not like he's a super young player. We've always been waiting for that moment where he scores 18.8 points a game. And here we are like 7 seasons in, and he's finally getting there. 6 seasons. But even that, he was a 23-year-old rookie. Hey, that's not a bad comp, Steve. Although Marcus Thornton, if you guys remember, he played defense like a toddler running down a hill. I don't know why he did it that way. Like a toddler running down a hill has his hands behind him, like head first. Like, oh my gosh. That's exactly how Marcus Thornton played defense.
Marcus Thornton.
Little buckets. He was a very, very nice guy. And there were times where him and DeMarcus would start talking in Creole too, so we couldn't understand what they were saying. Oh.
Cam Rising is playing in another season of college football?
Who is Marvian Overshown?
Linebacker for the Cowboys.
Oh, okay. You drew down, said he tore his ACL, PCL, and MCL.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham there. I'm Kyle. DeMarvian Overshown, is that right? He tore all three of those ligaments in his knee?
That's what Drew Down is saying in the chat.
Oh, Drew Down's reporting it.
Well, you know. I will look to see.
I'm going to I am checking. That is according to Todd Archer, who covers the Cowboys for ESPN.
Jordan
Shout out
Schultz
to Drew Down for being on it first. ACL, MCL, and PCL in his right knee. That's brutal, man.
Oh.
He's having a really, really good year too.
He's
that's
probably
tough.
not going to play all of next season.
Yeah, maybe. Man, salute to him, hoping for a speedy recovery again. DeMarvian Overshown for the Cowboys. Tore all three of those ligaments in his knee last night. That's brutal. That's
wow.
tough.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Injuries suck.
They are the worst part of sports, without question. The very worst part. All right. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Want to remind everybody real quick to join ESPN 1320 and making a child's holiday season that much brighter. You can drop off new unwrapped toys here at our ESPN 1320 studios. We're at 3010 Lava Ridge Court in Roseville. We're open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are taking donations from now through Friday, December 13th. All those toys are going to stay local. All right. We're working with the Stanford Sierra Youth and Families. They especially need unwrapped presents for older youth ages 12 to 18 years old. I would really appreciate you guys if you helped us out in delivering Christmas and making a child's holiday season that much brighter. Again, Odyssey Sacramento studios are at 3010 Lava Ridge Court here in Roseville. We're on the second floor. Come say what's up, drop off some toys, and we'd appreciate that immensely. All right. Will Z. You know him from WillZstats.com, but you also know him from the Sacramento Kings SI site. He wrote a really interesting piece about the Kings' offensive identity and how that has shifted following the inclusion of Malik Monk into the starting lineup. You can read the whole piece. I'm gonna paraphrase part of it here. Basically, the Kings are running more pick and roll this year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not going to read the whole article to you. If you want to read it, check it out, si.com/NBA/Kings. They're running more pick and roll, but they're still not running it enough. And when you look at the peripheral numbers where Malik Monk is 6th in pick and roll efficiency, and De'Aaron Fox is 14th, and DeMar DeRozan is 26th, that's very good. And all three of those players are in your starting lineup. And then you pair that with Domantas Sabonis, who is a Swiss Army knife big who can set a screen. He can roll. He can pop. He can do basically everything out of the PNR. It makes me wonder why the Kings aren't just doing this the most in the league. Because this is something the Warriors fans clamored for a long time with Golden State. Like, why is Steph Curry just not... Why are you not spamming the pick and roll with Steph Curry? Every time down, it should be Steph Curry, Draymond Green, pick and roll. And Steve Kerr's thing was like, well, because you don't want to put that much mileage on his body. Like, we're trying to preserve this 82 games and playing into April and May and June. But with the Kings, when you have 3 players who are excellent out of the pick and roll, I don't understand why you just don't make this a foundational piece of your offense.
No, I mean, I think we are going to see more and more pick and rolls.
And we
right?
and we are, yeah.
Yeah, and I would even say, like you and I were discussing this before we came on. I think the thing is that you have very unique pick and roll players.
Yeah.
You still don't have the high flyer that you really need, right? And you're hoping that Isaac Jones develops into that. Although Orlando Robinson as a big body rolling to the basket has been really effective in the limited opportunities he's had. But I think one of the things I'll point out is that the 3 guys that you have in De'Aaron and Malik and DeMar, they're so different in how they attack the pick and roll. And so DeMar is like the best mid-range jump shooter in the NBA, and he has been for a long time. And so you have that. So in the pick and roll, he can stop and pop. He can also, pass out of the pick and roll. But on top of that, you've got De'Aaron Fox, who's the fastest player in the league, but he's also left-handed. And so that adds a new element.
A little bit awkward.
He can play both hands for sure, but he can go left as well or better than almost any player in the league.
Sure.
Then on top of that, you have Malik Monk, who's right-handed, but also is a high flyer. So you've got him as like who loves the lob, right? And also can get to the rim on his own. You got De'Aaron who can get to the rim on his own at like the highest clip in the league for a guard. And then you have DeRozan, who's like this stop and pop, more methodical guy. And I really do think like you should see a ton of pick and roll. And it makes sense like that they're going away from the DHO a little bit.
Yeah, just the personnel is a little different now.
Yeah, but I'll also tell you, like
dribble handoff, by the way.
Yeah, Domantas Sabonis leads the league in screen assists. Like he's the best screen assist guy. Not only does he have a bunch of assists, but he also screens that leads to points.
Yeah,
in a very dramatic way, and it's because he has these 3 excellent, scorers in the pick and roll situation. So I think, like for my money, it does help. Like if you have these 3 guys with Domas and you need one other big to sort of run this, but your shooters have to be hitting in order to keep the spacing. And this is why, like, if you want to look at them and, again, go back to what Mike Brown said the other night, it's about possession after possession after possession, right? You could methodically destroy a team by just going pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll.
Because you can do it with a different ball handler every time.
Well, you can. And I would, if you look at it, I would love to see them go like old school Utah Jazz, where what's coming, but you can't stop it.
Sure.
Because it's like
Stockton Malone.
So many different angles. And in the 90s, that's what they did. Just every single play was the same exact thing. You get to the Spurs in the early 2000s, every single play, they're so good at what they do. And I think the Kings of the early 2000s kind of broke the mold a little bit, where they did the high pick and roll, they did the Princeton offense the whole time.
Yeah.
But they were so, like, it was so beautiful to watch because they had all of these other moving pieces. I think the Kings are trying to be a combination of both, and they'll get there. But already, I mean, we're seeing the offensive rating since Malik Monk stepped into the starting lineup is just astronomical.
Yeah. Like
their points per game is like 127. So like,
well, it helps when you score 281 across 2 games.
No, that's true. But
against the Spurs and Jazz,
again, we talked about this yesterday. Their assists, they've had over 30 assists in 4 of the 5 games, including 39.
Yeah, like
that's where this thing is heading. And you're like, hey, why didn't you do this before? It's like, well, you still don't have the pieces to do what you're doing because eventually your players are going to run out of gas because you still don't have the other pieces.
Right.
And it's working really well because Kevin Huerter decided to start hitting his shots. So, like, there are so many intricate pieces to this, but I do think the Kings are onto something. And I think that's why we both believe coming into the season it's a 50-win team.
Yeah.
Because they have amazing offensive weapons. And the fact is they've got to get better defensively, but they also have to be more consistent with what they're doing. You can't have one night where, Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray and De'Aaron Fox hit a whole bunch of threes, and then the next night the combo go 1 for 20.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot have that type of inconsistency and expect to win.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's what it's going to be about. Like the last couple of games have been awesome. They were really, and we talked about this a lot yesterday, but it was great first steps. You love to see that, but now it's about that consistency and finding that. And I think one of the ways you can find that is this. Like you can spam pick and roll whenever you want, and you don't have to gas out one player to do it. It can be Malik Monk sometimes. It can be De'Aaron Fox sometimes. It can be DeMar DeRozan. And you already said it. The shots you're going to get off each of those are all going to be different. So you have the playmakers to do it. And to me, it may not be something that Mike Brown wants to do. It may not. And I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know. It may not be something he wants to do. But to me, the personnel dictates, like, man, this is probably your best option.
Well, I don't think that Mike wants to scrap everything mid-season. I think that's a bigger issue, but you're going to start seeing more and more and more of this. Because if the offensive side of the ball is working like a well-oiled machine, you become more and more efficient, and your players conserve more and more energy in that efficiency, which means you can use that on the other end.
Yeah.
And hey, look, I think everyone knows, like, the more efficient an offense is, the better they are defensively, typically, because you get back and set your defense. It's easier to set your defense with the ball coming out of the net than it is in transition and or off a rebound and here we go, right? And so the Kings, if they become the team they were 2 years ago, if with their offensive efficiency, that will naturally help their defense set up.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not they improve on that end of the court and, sort of earn the trust that Mike wants to instill in them. But you got to play on both sides.
We won't see the Kings again until Thursday, where they take on the New Orleans Pelicans, which feels a lot less daunting now than it did this time last year. But the Kings don't play till Thursday, in part because of the NBA Cup schedule, and I think the NBA Cup schedule sucks.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the NBA Cup. I like the in-season tournament. I was against it at first. I'm in now. But there was one basketball game last night. It was Knicks at Raptors. Karl Anthony Towns, by the way, 24, 15, and 6. Hoop it. The Knicks are figuring it out. Minnesota, not so much. But anyways, now you get 2 quarterfinal games tonight. It's Orlando at Milwaukee, Dallas at Oklahoma City. Good games, fun games. I'm in. But I would just give me all the quarterfinals tonight. Give me all 4. Just give me all 4 at once. I know there's going to be some overlap, which I know they don't want. I know they want to maximize the TV. They sold it for TV. I get all that. But you had 1 game last night. You get 2 tonight. You get 2 tomorrow night. You've got teams like the Kings who played on Sunday and don't play again until Thursday. Ugh. I don't like that. Like the goal is maximizing this time of year, and I feel like by not having games or having so few games, you're having the opposite effect.
Okay, so here's I have 2 issues. Number 1, the Kings now they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they don't play again until Sunday? I think they only have 2 games this week.
Yeah, Thursday, and then is it Sunday again?
Yeah, it's not Saturday for sure.
Huh.
So they have this huge break, right? I don't like seeing a break right now when you crammed the first 15 games into 26 days. Because now you got teams that
they don't play again until Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So again, all those days we're wondering where those days go, they're right here.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're going to do this, I'm going to make some other weird, if you're going to do that, then you can't do the December 15th deadline for a contract sign in the offseason. You have to move it to December 1st.
Sure.
Because then it allows teams that don't make the play-in to go out, acquire players, and have them ready when you re-kick off the season. And you can say, well, how much of a reboot is it? Hey, man, 2 games in 8 days? That's crazy talk for NBA standards.
Yeah.
The Kings are going to play 1 game in 7 days. Thursday.
Yeah, Sunday, they played Sunday, December 8th. They play again December 12th. and they don't play again until December 16th.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying, though? Like, if
one game in a week is nuts, dude.
December 15th, you can't trade a player that was acquired during the summer, that was signed during the summer until December 15th. But if you had this week here to prep your players and get your rotation going and have a couple of practices with 1 or 2 new players, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, I hate, like, just like schematically, there's no reason for the December 15th thing is some mystical date that I think it's 6 months from whatever.
Right. Some point of the calendar.
Yeah, it has some sort of significance to somebody. But if you're going to mess with the schedule this much to add the in-season tournament, you probably should adjust some other dates to make it more.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I will say, I like the matchups tonight.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's playing better. Orlando's now without Franz Wagner.
Oh, that's tough.
Who tore his oblique, which is the same injury that Paolo Banchero is dealing with.
Yeah.
Correct?
They're 17-9, and I don't know how they hold up. Man, Wagner's played so well.
But Dallas at Oklahoma City's fun. And I like the stakes. Like the fact that there are stakes in these games is great. Only 2 of them. I want all 4 games tonight. That's all. Well, is that too much to ask for?
Even if you want to just highlight those games, but then have like a couple of the other games just go on, so you don't have this huge like time off. I don't know.
Yeah, let's bring weird. Damian Barling in the building. It's time for that. Oh, that's my fault. I got you.
Nope, that's good.
You do it.
We'll
you do it. Here we go. We're gonna learn how to do a radio show someday. Damian Barling, D'Lo, and KC coming up here at noon. You like the NBA Cup scheduling? I'm not a fan. I don't like that there was 1 game last night, 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Maybe the stakes of the games will make it okay that there's only 2, but I think you can do all 4 quarterfinal games tonight.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I wonder if they're still kind of working out like the issues with it, but ultimately I think it just comes down to the broadcast partners and what the broadcast partners want.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
What the players want, what the league wants, what the fans want don't really matter. What the broadcast partners want does. And these guys get standalone games, and obviously that was a big part of the selling point for Amazon, NBC, everything that's happening next year.
Sure.
I was just telling Kyle, we were wondering, that first 15 games that were played in 26 days. Now we know why. It's right here.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah, one game in a week.
One game
in the middle of an NBA season is crazy.
And
crazy.
When you walked in, we were also talking like if you're going to do the December 15th deadline, but then you're going to have all this time off for some of these teams, you probably should have moved it to December 1st. So then that way, if you did make trades, you could have this
an acclimation period.
Yeah, an acclimation period during the season. So kind of a difficult thing.
It's interesting. It is like it's kind of like a mini all-star break.
Mm-hmm.
Right
but
here.
see, I like that where the trade deadline is right before the all-star break. So then when you come out of the break, you've had time. You might have 1 or 2 games before the break with the players, but then you have all this time, right, to like build up, maybe 2 or 3 practices where you can get guys in. And even during an all-star break, a week off, they can all sit there and have the playbook and have a whole bunch of stuff that they're going through on their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing.
We talked a lot about the NFL like postseason picture and how the Chiefs are, if the Chiefs were the Steelers and just doing exactly what they've done this year, I'd be being like, oh, this is very fraudulent. This 12-1 is very fraudulent. But because it's the Chiefs, they get the benefit of the doubt. You don't believe that?
Sure. I guess
the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt.
No, they do. Yeah, they
Super
absolutely
Bowls.
do. Yeah, that's absolutely. They 100% get the benefit of the doubt. I just don't think the Steelers are fraudulent.
I don't think the Steelers are fraudulent either.
Oh,
I'm saying I pick a different team then. If Denver was doing what
I got you.
The Chiefs
okay.
did, would be
I
like,
got
that's
you.
not for real.
Okay, I got you.
But
sure. The Steelers did it a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
It's like this is fake.
I think that's why the Steelers.
You're an 11-1 team. Like, okay, pal.
And then they didn't win a playoff game, right? I
No,
think they lost in the first round.
No,
Was that
they
the
didn't.
one where they got smoked by the Browns?
yes.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's tough.
They're 10-3 right now, and you're like,
I actually think Pittsburgh's good.
I'm
Is
at least
Pitt-
like,
I think there's a really clear, to me, the top tier in the AFC is Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then
Kansas City
there's
Buffalo. Okay.
and then it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore
yeah,
are in that second tier.
Baltimore is frustrating.
well, and Texans too. Like I put Texans in that next
Houston
In the second tier?
Houston's tier 3 for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't put
Their offensive line.
I wanted
doo-doo.
Houston to be in tier 2 so bad.
Yeah.
They cannot be in tier 2.
CJ Stroud has regressed a little bit.
Well,
Their offensive line
leave
stinks.
CJ alone. He's having a moment.
Want to hear some other quarterbacks I don't like?
They're above like the Chargers and Denver. Like
CJ,
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah, for sure. I'll give you that.
Are they above the Chargers?
I think so.
I put them in the
Are
I think
they?
so.
tier.
I think so. I like Houston more than
Any reason
Los
why?
Angeles. Yes, CJ. I like CJ more than Justin Herbert. I like Harbaugh is a hell of a coach.
A good coach.
I think I just like the overall. I mean, I think it's tough too. We forget they played a part of this season without Nico.
Sure.
They lost Stephon for the entire year.
They lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
That was a Thursday night, though. That was a Thursday night in New York.
Night.
That's a Thursday night in New York.
Okay.
I called that game.
Okay.
I was like, I don't like this for Houston at all.
Okay, let's rewind it to November 24th where they lost to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's not okay.
And you sneak past the Jags.
A win's a win. It's not okay. You can't lose to Tennessee. I'll excuse New York. That's a Thursday night game on the road. I don't care about that one, but you can't lose to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee, that's a 3-win team.
Is it that many?
Well, it's at least 3.
3-10. Yeah, 3-10.
Yeah, Nico's missed 5 games. You got another 3 games that Joe Mixon's missed. Like they had that. So they've had some injuries that
I
they
think-
dealt
I
with.
think, I think
issue
the
with them is-
Tennessee game was with Joe Mixon out. I could be right, but I think
Their offensive line is so bad. That's the problem. I don't think it's CJ Stroud. I don't think it's Nico Collins. I don't think it's their. I've read. I've not followed the Texans close enough, but apparently Bobby Slowick, their offensive coordinator, has come under fire for the way he calls games. Which may be a bigger issue.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I'm not buying Houston anymore.
TexansWire.com.
Well, that's a thing. That's not where I'm reading.
Okay, I was just asking.
Shout out to TexansWire.com.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Titans Wire was great. 49ers Wire is great. I was just making sure, plugging the right websites.
Appreciate you. What do you got coming up on D-Lo and Casey?
Trista's coming up at 2. Jason's coming up at 3. There's obviously stuff out there from Sham Charania, kind of starting to look at the trade market a little bit. Bobby Marks posted a very in-depth piece on ESPN about the 85 players who are eligible to be traded here in a couple of days. And we've really romanticized this December 15th date, man. It's not that freaking interesting. It's really not. Like, I'm going over the players that are available now. It's like, this is not interesting. Like, they have absolutely manipulated us into believing this is a thing. This is not a thing.
Yeah.
It's really not. But it's out there, so we'll go over some of that stuff. And then I finally went back and watched Mike's pregame press conference yesterday or Sunday. And it was interesting. I have some takeaways from that we'll talk about.
Can't wait.
It was, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was. He was clearly in a mood, and he had a lot to say. And I thought it was interesting. It was 16 minutes, and he was really in depth with what he was talking about before that Utah game that they wound up winning by 40. So whatever he's saying in the locker room worked.
Can't wait. D-Lo and KC coming up next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Back with you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, drink water and be nice, people. See you.